Welcome to Community Report. I'm Vicki Pritchard. Margie Solomon and Sherry Goldsmith of 85 Broads are here with us this evening. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming on board to tell us about this terrific organization and the Cincinnati chapter. Margie, I'm going to let you give us some background on what 85 Broads is, how it came to be, and how the Cincinnati chapter began.
Well, 85 Broads was started in 1997 by a woman named Janet Hansen. Janet was on Wall Street. She worked for Goldman Sachs. And she and another friend of hers felt that women did not have a good old boys network. And even in 97, which doesn't seem like it's terribly long ago, women really in finance hit a lot of glass ceilings. Mm-hmm. So she started the organization for women who worked for Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, coincidentally, or not so coincidentally, is located on 85 Broad Street in Manhattan. And thus the name 85 Broads. So it's kind of a play on words.
And it was just kind of an opportunity, I guess, really to keep her in the loop because she was, in terms of what was going on in the business sector,
world,
she
right.
left to stay home with her children, correct?
Several years after she
that.
started 85 Broads. And she actually was speaking at Columbia. And a year or so after she started 85 Broads. And a woman stood up and said, well, Ms. Hansen, this is all great for women in finance, but most of the women in this room are not in finance. Would you be interested in expanding?
Because they wanted the same thing regardless of what their profession
Absolutely.
was. Wanted part of that too. Well, tell us how the Cincinnati chapter came to be. Your chapter president, Sherry, your membership membership director,
chair.
Membership chair. How did this come to be? Did you two get on board and say, we want this here?
Actually, there was a meeting. It was a party that was held 2 years ago in September by two young women, young professionals named Jessie Dye and Adrusha Apana. And Jessie and Adrusha, actually Jessie was trying to get into graduate school, into an Ivy League graduate school. And she came across 85 Broads and actually joined and connected with a woman on the West Coast who had gone to Harvard, who helped her and mentored her. So she and Adrusha decided that they would start a chapter here in Cincinnati so other women could have the opportunities that they had enjoyed through 85 Broads. So they invited, I think there were 70-some women at the first organizational meeting. The first year we kind of
navigate your way
sort
through
of
this?
Find out what was happening, and both of the young women were needing to cut back on what they were doing with 85 Broads. So we had elections last September, and I was elected president. And I had been on the social committee, for the first year. So that's how we started, and both women are still involved.
Terrific. Sherry, tell me, in terms of membership, how do you get the word out there? What's the whole process of letting people know about what the organization is, and who are some of the women that seem to be in need of what this organization has to offer?
Well, it's pretty easy to get the word out. I mean, we have women coming to us. We have women contacting us through LinkedIn. We have women, I'm out every day networking in my position as a life coach. So I come across a lot of women, and I let them know what's going on in 85 Broads. But really, the word is out. I have a lot of women coming to me and asking me more about 85 Broads.
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
how they can get involved.
Are there events, or what is the structure of this? We
have programming throughout the year. We have 2 events that are monthly, and they're basically networking events. Occasionally, we'll do a lunch and learn where we'll have a speaker, and but the last Friday of every month, we call it our Final Friday Power Breakfast, and we actually started those last year, and we started with, I was the only person at the first one, and then the word started to get out, and they started to grow, and we had them at First Watch in Rookwood.
Okay.
It's kind of a power place, and we wanted to be visible.
Right.
So we started there, and the first couple of months we'd have 5 or 6 women, and then all of a sudden we had 18, and then we had 25, and then we had 30. So we stay right around 30 for the breakfasts, but we do it every month. They're very casual, and they're for members and non-members. We now move from location to location around the city, so that we are accessible to women in Northern Kentucky and up in Westchester. And this year we started our Terrific Tuesday lunches, and because we found that there were a lot of women who couldn't make the breakfasts all the time, and they wanted another opportunity. So we do lunch on
to accommodate others.
To accommodate others. And it's the second Tuesday of every month.
What would you say distinguishes 85 Broads from other women's networking organizations? I know sometimes chambers will have certain women's initiatives. What's unique about this organization in your mind?
I think what makes it different is, well, I love the diverse group of women that's attracted to 85 Broads. I think Margie being president, I think having her as a president of 85 Broads makes a difference, and it's very attractive for a lot of people. She's a class act. But also we get involved in philanthropic causes, which the other networking groups don't do necessarily. And we do professional development. And we have on a global, our global website, and we have global advantages for these women that other networking groups don't have, where they can get involved or put their blogs on our global site or access all kinds of wonderful programs.
So through your social media, you offer that as well.
Right.
So someone in Cincinnati can connect professionally with a woman in Dubai.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We're in over 90 countries. We have almost 30,000 members worldwide.
That's incredible.
We have a member who's won a Pulitzer. We have women who own businesses. It started with women in finance, and we are now over 50%, I think close to 60% of our membership are entrepreneurs or small business owners.
That's wonderful. I know you had mentioned it was a very diverse group, and I wondered also in terms of professional pedigree.
Absolutely.
And so you're seeing a lot of innovative women out there who are jumping out, starting their own business.
Yes. And we have some who've been in business for a long time. Karen Sackstetter of Sackstedter's Interiors is a member.
Right.
Candace Klein of Bad
We've
Girl
had
Ventures.
Candace here, yes.
So we have women who have been in business for a long time. We have women who are starting their own businesses. We have obviously heads of businesses. But we try to liaison with other women's organizations. We had an event with Cincinnati Women's Club not too long ago, where they invited us to join 85 Broads.
You really work collaboratively then.
We absolutely do.
That's another difference that I forgot to mention.
So Women's Initiative Northern Kentucky. We have members from all other women's groups, specifically because we are global and because we do offer so much for women professionals and for young women. We try to provide mentorship. We just started working with young women's group at University of Cincinnati. It's Women in Science. So we have several of those young women who are members of our organization.
So you connect them with people in particular in the organization who are successful professionally in those areas, and
we do. We have
a wonderful mentoring opportunity.
We have a couple of women who are chiropractors, who have their own businesses and
Pharmacists.
Very nice.
So,
Sherry, you have your own business. You're a life coach, and I would think by virtue of your business, you're probably especially in tune to what women are looking for, what the needs are, what they're exploring and evaluating within themselves.
Right.
When they come to this organization, what do you see? Are there predominant things that stand out to you, what women are looking for when they join this organization? What are some of the conversations that you've had?
I think that they're looking to network because they're trying to build their business. Network for whatever organization they're working for. But also, I think support from one another, friendship. I think those things are so important to women.
And those are words that I think often haven't been part of the whole vernacular of the business, professional community in terms of maybe what was perceived as the good old boys.
right.
To use those words that was like speaking Mandarin maybe is just foreign to many, but yet it's so essential because ultimately it comes down to relationships,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And women get
Absolutely.
that.
Women form relationships, and you can speak to this better than I can because it's your business, but women form relationships, even business relationships, much differently than men do.
That's interesting. Talk about that. Elaborate on that a bit.
When we network, we get to know one another. We're not like men. If we just went to school with somebody, a man, or if they play golf with someone at some point, they'll call them up later and say, oh, by the way, will you, buy this widget, or can you get me on it, in Palm Springs or whatever. I mean, they have no compunction about, if they've been in fraternity together, just
Oh, right, absolutely.
and hardly know one another.
Right.
They'll call them and say, oh, you're part of my network because of this. So it's their good old boys network is so tenuous. Whereas women want to get to know other women.
That's interesting.
Before they'll ask them, for a favor or that side. And we try to teach that you don't have to be that close to call.
Why do you think there is that hesitation that women have?
Because I think we're wired to give, and we don't want to ask others
For something.
we
don't
want to
seem
give.
Yes. So what can I do for you, not
What can I
you
do
can
for
do
you?
for me.
Yes,
Right,
and it's
right,
harder
right.
for some women
Such an interesting point.
to
Right,
ask someone
right.
else for what they need.
So, we try to do that. Our goal is to inspire, empower, and connect women. Jana Hansen says smart women, professional women, etc.
Right.
But I think everyone who joins our group they are smart women.
Uniquely, they're bringing something to the table as well.
They are here because they're bringing something, and they want something, and they're smart because they're joining.
And this includes, you'd mentioned the women in science at UC. So this is students as well, women who are
Yes.
studying
Graduate
in their
students.
profession.
Yes.
They don't have to be established profession
No.
or starting out on their own business.
No.
It's, I have eyes ahead. What do I do? Who do I contact? Do you think it's particularly important for women who are in college at this very early point to establish these relationships?
Yes. And learn how to I hate to say use the relationships, but learn how to keep them and to move from college life into adult life with these women and that they've been in college with, and the women that they've met. We're also trying to do some programming with Girl Scouts. We'd really like to reach down to junior and senior scouts because these young women need to learn the same skills before they go to college.
And that makes such good sense too with that particular group. These are young women in an organization that's geared toward leadership and achievement.
Right.
So really it makes perfect sense that would be a good fit
Right.
for your organization to reach out to. Is that just a Cincinnati chapter effort right there, or is that
don't know about
nationally?
other chapters that much. Nationally, I'm sure Janet does quite a bit. I mean, the Girl Scouts USA is located in New York, in Manhattan, and
Right.
I would think that she's probably reached out to, you know, to the global organization or the U.S. organization in New York. But just for here, for Cincinnati, I mean, we're really, as I said, we're trying to provide mentorship and reach out to other women's organizations in the area. We work with several women at Impact 100.
Oh, wonderful.
Jenny Berg
organization,
and
yes.
that group, and also with Greater Cincinnati
Foundation, yes, exactly.
And Vanessa's.
I know who. I know Vanessa.
She's an 85
yes.
broad. Yeah.
Yes.
So she was actually one of the early members.
Oh, is that right?
Vanessa was, right.
So you really initially you tapped into some really strong women who were leaders here in Cincinnati
Right.
to begin
Yes.
with when the
Yeah.
program started.
Yeah.
And they've maintained on the board or are active in some
They
capacity?
are active, and Vanessa serves as kind of an advisor for me to help. And we have several other women who are who kind of serve as advisors who have been members for quite a while. You know, Candace does, and
when she has a sliver of time.
I never hesitate to call any of them to say, hey,
That's
do you have
because again they're so supportive of what you're doing.
Absolutely, you know, and they're terrific women, and they're doing so much for Cincinnati and the community. And as a chapter, you know, that is also part of our goal is to reach out, to do some outreach with women and try to fulfill some of those needs. And Sherry had talked about we do some philanthropic work as well. We are in August. Tell me, what are we doing?
The Alzheimer's Association, we're working with a nonprofit organization called Cheering for Charity, and they support Alzheimer's Association. So
A couple of Bengals
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
who started this organization.
Oh, that's terrific.
yes,
So we're providing manpower or women power,
Right.
and
Very
and
nice.
helping with their event that's coming up in August.
I believe it's August 20th. It's called the Sideline Event.
August 20th?
August 20th,
Good to know.
sideline
We'll
event.
make sure and get that information
Yes,
out there.
yes. And then in September, we are September 15th, I believe. We are having our first branded fundraiser.
Oh, now what's the distinction
Well,
of that?
usually we join, you know, and provide assistance for an event that's already happening or an organization
Right.
that asks us to be a part of that. And it's generally started by women, or it's to raise money for something for women and children. Well, last year we got involved with the Cincinnati Chocolate Festival,
Oh,
which was
wonderful.
which was in October.
Very appropriate for women.
Absolutely. What a beautiful fit. I love that.
And the Cincinnati Chocolate Festival was actually started, the first one was last year, started by Wise Temple Sisterhood, and all of the proceeds from the Chocolate Festival go back into the community as a whole. YWCA, Battered Women's Shelter, I mean,
many different causes.
Many different causes,
Very
all,
nice.
all based for women and children. And they raised, I think, close to $50,000
that's
last
wonderful.
year. So we are having our own fundraising event in September. It is a chocolate bake-off.
Oh, that's outstanding.
And
People will be coming in hordes, I
yes,
would think, for this.
so the money that we raise from that, we will donate to the Chocolate Festival.
Excellent.
And but the bake-off, the winner of the bake-off, and they don't have to be a member, will represent 85 Broads at the Cincinnati Chocolate Festival in the amateur contest.
Wonderful. That's terrific.
So
you make it fun, productive, and giving back. It's really the whole package
Yeah.
Right.
in so many ways. And are you very selective about the philanthropic efforts that you put out there? Who is
Yes.
receiving
Yes.
the money that you raise?
Very.
And is it generally, it must impact women in some capacity?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even though men get Alzheimer's, obviously, the sideline event was started by Bengals, and it's
Get
you know,
behind
a
those
group
gals
of
and their
women.
effort.
Right, right. so we're supporting their effort, and they've been in that for several years.
Yeah, it's their third year to do this.
This will
event.
be our second year to be, well, we're only 2 years old, so it'll be our second year.
Well, tell me about, in each of your professions that you're in, and over the course of the years, course of decades, how have you seen women's roles change, evolve professionally? Are women more confident, stronger? Are we still battling some of the same old issues you think that we were decades ago, or are we confronting those head on more maybe?
Well, I think it depends on the woman.
And you can attest to this by virtue of the work you do, really.
Right. So maybe my reality is a bit skewed, but I think we still, are hit with some barriers, and I think we need to always learn new skills and how to deal with people, and how, if you're really motivated and you want to move up, to learn the nuances and the skills that you need to get ahead.
Right.
And I came up at a time when many of my friends took time off and had children.
Stay with the kids, right.
And I didn't. I worked right through. I mean, I have children, but
you did.
But I
you
worked.
Stayed on track.
Right. And that's not easy either.
No.
I have so many women who stayed home and then rejoined the workforce, and but basically had to start from scratch.
Right.
And those of us who stayed in it, we just aged faster.
Did it feel that way?
It really did. I used to work with a woman who had so much energy, and we were about the same age, and I was like, where does all this energy come from?
Right.
Well, she didn't have any children.
Oh, there has right. The equation has to be different in some capacity, doesn't
totally,
it?
completely different.
You're taking a break, or you don't have kids, or you're just doing it all and you're exhausted.
She would say, "Oh, let's go play golf," and I'd say, "Well, no, I can't go play golf."
Because we're still multitasking.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And I think that's part of the problem sometimes, because it's hard for us to stop multitasking.
Right. We're under this impression that
we always have to multitask.
Right. I had a woman say to me once, "Call me a man, but I just can't multitask and do it well." She said, "I think just more women feel the same, and we just need to stand up and say, it's a myth or a manipulation. We can't do it all."
Well, there was a great article about multitasking, and there was actually a study done, and nobody does it well.
Right.
We don't even do it well.
Right.
I mean, we do it because we have to. It's not because we're especially good at it. And even people who are really good at it aren't really good at it. Our brains just can't.
Right. Something has to give somewhere, doesn't it?
If you're not focusing on one thing, and you're splitting your time with it, you're not giving your all to two things. You're giving. That's impossible to do.
Just
an
increments.
Excellent job on more than one thing at a time.
Absolutely, and I think when some part of that pie is getting a less energetic portion of you, a less focused portion of you.
So but no, and I think it's really kind of interesting, and I don't know if Sherry, if you'll agree with this, but when we have our Friday mornings, and the breakfasts are always my favorite. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a morning person, but I always feel great when I leave.
Oh,
the energy in the room. Yeah.
And is there that Me Too feeling that you have with this group of people, or something new, or is it all of that? Something new, but also common connections?
Well, I always feel that at breakfast or lunch. I always feel good when I leave.
Good start to the day. In many
ways. It's a good start to after lunch too. I just think it's really good to connect with women, and I'm all about supporting women and empowering other women.
Right, because your business is exclusively women, Life Coach for Women in particular.
Right, and so I think it's wonderful.
We had just a great story. This last lunch that we had, we have two of the women who are 85 Broads, a woman named Tracy Conrad and Adrucia Opana, who was one of the co-founders. and one of our ex officio presidents. We had two. The co-founders split that, but they are both starring in a local reality show on Fox 19 called Queen City.
Oh, is that right?
And so Drusha brought the cameras to our last lunch, and
how fun.
So 85 Broads will be featured on Queen City.
And how did everybody do when the cameras were on? Was it a very?
Oh, they were great.
Everyone
it was fine.
Everybody signed
comfortable.
Their yeah, it was terrific. They
engaging conversation.
They had a great time, and it was a fun day, but you know, we just everyone brings so much to the table.
Right. Regardless of what chapter, what profession, whatever they're doing, and everyone contributes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was a fun day. So we have a lot of that. You just never know who's going to be there. At the next sort of what we call open networking or power breakfast or terrific Tuesday lunch. And
that's great. But you do know it'll be a dynamic group of women.
We do.
And we expect you to come next time.
Absolutely.
I want to. I definitely want to after chatting with you too.
You must be a member.
Absolutely. That's an easy recruit. Well, tell me, if women want to find out about 85 Broads and how to become part of it, is the website the best place to begin?
So we have our own Cincinnati website, which is in the process of being launched.
Okay.
But we also have the global website that they can access, 85 Broads.
Okay.
And they can access a lot of information on that website.
Oh, right.
Also, we have information on LinkedIn, a Facebook page, 85 Broads Cincinnati. They can get local information and information on LinkedIn and Facebook on how to sign up for one of our breakfasts or lunch.
We have those under events on LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn group is private, you have to be a member, but Facebook is an open group.
Okay.
So you can find out lots of information there. Our local website is 85broadscincinnati.com. And but there's actually a link to our website on the global site as well.
Wonderful.
If they go into chapters.
All right. Well, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you, and I have a feeling you're going to have many women contacting you after they find out even more about what you have to offer. It's just terrific.
Great.
I know you've certainly picked my interest. I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
We do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been chatting with Margie Solomon and Sherry Goldsmith with 85 Broads. Thanks so much for watching, and please join us again next week.